everybody. Are we ready to start the alien panel? All right. We're going to bring Veronica up in second. Tom Skerritt was unable to join us. It's probably a good thing for you guys because I was really tempted to just ask him Tom Cruise questions about Top Gun. So, Veronica Cartwright, everybody! Oh, Veronica, how's your the past 2 days been here at Days of the Dead?
Well, it's been very good. I have been having a very good time, having some great conversations with people and telling them if they wanted to hear elaborations on things, they needed to come to the panel. So here I am.
What do you guys want her to elaborate on? There is just a rich history. Your filmography goes deep. Anybody have any questions for Veronica?
Oh, are you not interviewing? You're
going
right to the audience.
We're going right to him because I can.
Goodness.
That guy right there immediately was ready.
Yes?
What you got? Oh.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Chuck Yeager was around the whole time. And he has that small little cameo in the movie where he's the bartender. I don't know if any of you have seen this movie, but it's a wonderful movie. And we just had the best time, and Gordo Cooper was around, but Chuck stayed around the whole time, and it was hysterical. We went to do some publicity for the movie, and we were on the 24th floor of this hotel, and I guess Star Wars had just come out, and Wookiees were having parties in the elevators. So, I mean, and all of a sudden Chuck goes, "Oh, come on, guys, we can do it." And we walked up 24 flights of stairs. I mean, Chuck is, healthy as a horse. I mean, unbelievable. When we did the premiere of the movie, we did it at the Kennedy Center. And it had military lines of people. And it was unbelievable. And Chuck led down the Potomac. He led the jets, and they sort of welcomed us in. And I tell you, it was just a wonderful movie to work with. I had worked with Phil Kaufman before on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and he's just a wonderful director. He believes in letting actors ask questions and explore, and I wasn't able to meet with Betty Grissom because of the tragedy that happened to her husband. He had asked for the explosive hatch, and then of course once his ship crashed and they discovered he had nothing to do with that. I mean, that was just NASA and Life magazine being incredibly, this was a tragedy that the ship had gone down, not that anything happened to him. So they didn't have the explosive hatch anymore, and that's what he died, perished trying to undo the hatch. And so it was very sad, and so Betty wasn't up to meeting people, but Gordo Cooper came down, and quite a few of the astronauts, and of course it was fun because Sam Shepard had a fear of flying, and the only time he ever flew was with Chuck. So that was cool.
Did you guys have one right there? Yeah.
Looking back at the experience with Alien, sometimes one's perspective changes as the years go by. I wanted to know, looking back at it, and what a masterpiece it's become, how it has influenced the genre, how generations have come to love it. Is there anything new that you kind of discovered looking back on that experience, either about yourself or about your time with the other actors and directors?
The amazing thing about Alien was that everything was practical. There was no CGI. Those sets were the most phenomenal things you could ever see. We took over the entire Shepard in the studio. And entrance to the engine room led to the hospital on the left and to the cafeteria on the right, and everything was connected. So every time you went to do anything on that set, you had to go through all of the things, which sort of lent to the claustrophobia. And then, of course, the desert was just massive at the time. It was the largest sound stage in Europe that was just filled with sand, and we were in wonderful suits that they forgot to give us any air holes on. So John was the first to pass out. Then when we have to carry John across the desert, we said, can we have a mannequin or something? Oh no, I think you should carry John. Oh, great, thanks. We had 50 pounds. It was actual football gear. This helmet that was locked down onto our heads, and we were seeing plumes of white smoke going around. That was the CO2 canisters that were going off in the back of our heads. We had hockey gloves on that they had spray painted so you couldn't bend them, and these incredible moon boots. And it was a heat wave in England at the time, so things were incredibly warm. I think I lost 10 pounds that week. I mean, just to take it off and there'd be like a pool of sweat. It was disgusting. But then I had to go up on that lift so that we could get into the spaceship. And I started going like this, and here's Tom going, help, help, but they forgot to give us any sound, too. So he's trying to grab me with these hockey gloves that wouldn't bend, and he's grabbing me, and I'm going, it was an experience. I always thought, because when Ridley first explained the movie, it was going to be that somebody had never even, as the robot says, has anybody tried to communicate with it, which none of us had. And his first impression was that it's almost like a baby deer. You go up to it too fast and it just starts to strike. But as the movie went on, they started changing it, and it wasn't that anymore. It was more of a horror movie. And it just lashed out because it had such a short lifespan. I mean, it goes from the face hugger to the little penis guy, and then into, it grows really fast, it bruises really fast, and so it needed to propagate, and so therefore it would take, like, first one to go was Harry Dean Stanton, and he was up in a nest on the wall, as was Tom Skerritt's character, Dallas. And that's how it was living at the time. So first I was rather upset about the whole thing. Plus, I never got to shoot my death. My death was supposed to be crawling up in a locker like the cat used to hide in. And then the alien was supposed to pull me down. Well, we shot that scene for 5 days, but we never shot the death. So I was a bit perturbed about that, and then they called me in about 3 weeks later and hung me up in a lovely jockstrap that I was the person that, it was originally jockstraps we were supposed to wear instead of white boxers. And they had me hanging from this thing with my leg hanging down and blood dripping down my leg. How I got that way, I have no idea. And then when I went to see it, and the publicity people said, how did it feel to have that tail going underneath your legs? I said, I don't know, why don't you ask Harry Dean? Because if you watch the movie, I wear cowboy boots during the entire movie. And in my death scene, they washed out Harry Dean's pants so that they were white, and I'm wearing tennis shoes. So there you have it. So that was a big difference for me, and it took me a while to get over that. But the movie has been just an incredible success. Everybody seems to love it. You're all here because you love the movie. I think it was just such a different movie at the time it was shot. The chest burster scene had never been seen, anything like that before. and Ridley had an incredible eye for the visual, and he got a great group of actors together that he didn't have to worry about, because he would just let you sort of go. Yaphet was a great improviser, hence the scene where we're all eating breakfast and he says, "I know something else I'd rather be eating." Thank you. And I mean, Yaphet and I became great friends. He was just a divine person. I mean, people were so wonderful on this set. And luckily, and Tom and I are great friends to this day, and I'm sorry he couldn't be here today, because we have great banter back and forth. And Balaji, who was our wonderful alien, the very first day that we got to go on the set, Geiger was there, and he was dressing Balaji, who was 7'2" and part of the Maasai tribe, dressing him. He had his leggings on, and he was up to his waist here with this part of the suit, and the rest of the suit. I mean, there were big gloves. Being Maasai, his hands were below his kneecaps. So when he would get this outfit on, I mean, it was unbelievable, this man. He was a graphic artist they had found in a pub. He had gone to Tai Chi and mime classes. He could roll himself into a ball at 7'2" with that outfit on, and then slowly stand up. And then as he would stand up, I mean, it was just, oh my goodness, it was frightening. He was incredible. And so Tom Skerritt is the one to say, this poor man can't sit down with this tail. Why don't we build him a swing? So they built him a swing so he could put his tail out. And then he'd walk around in his big white sneakers or his big blue sneakers and have this tail hanging out and just his head. And he was hysterical. He was great. It was an experience. It was like nothing had ever been. I didn't expect it to be. It was a B movie when we started. They saw 20 minutes of footage and realized what they had and sunk another $10 million into it. I mean, the movie was shot for $18 million. We could not do that this day. I mean, it's just impossible. And everything was practical. So that was my experience.
I just got to thank you, because I don't think any of us will watch any Alien anything anymore and think chest burster. Now it's little penis guy. Like,
with teeth.
With teeth. A little penis guy with teeth. I just wanted to know, like, you've done a lot of voiceover work too for video games and cartoons and stuff. What's it like kind of bouncing back and forth from being on screen to being behind a microphone, working with just your voice?
Well, when we did the Alien game, all of us played our characters. I think only John Hurt, or was it Ian Holm, who couldn't do his voice. So basically they stuck with the game. I guess, though, that at some point I win, which is nice. And then I did Fallout 4, and I was Trash Can Carla. And when you do video games, it's an entirely different ball game. I mean, because you have to do it for the gamer. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the gamer. And so you do it with all different tenses, for males and for females, and you do it for, it's just where you die, you don't die, you're living, you're a medic, you're this, you're that, you're all these different things. It's a lot different than doing a movie where you can, but you get into it. It's kind of fun.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more lines too, right?
Yes, a lot more lines. I mean, because you are repeating the same line, but with different tenses and different things happening. So.
You have any other questions out there? Right over there.
What was it like on the set of The Birds?
I was 12 when I did The Birds. I had done a movie called The Children's Hour with Shirley MacLaine and Audrey Hepburn, and James Garner's first movie, and it was William Wyler, and so Hitchcock requested meeting me after seeing me in that movie. So I went to his bungalow on the Universal lot, and I was born in Bristol, England. And I know I don't have an accent, but I was born in Bristol, England. And that was where Hitchcock's wine cellar was. So he proceeded to tell me different wines that were really good and that he had in storage. I'm 12, I'm thinking, okay. And hi. And then he told me how to cook a steak, because I would need to know that when I grew up and got married. You cook it on a barbecue till it's 121 degrees in the center, and with the thermometer. Then you take it out, and then you put aluminum over the top of it and let it breathe for 10 minutes, and then it'll be a perfect rare. And I've tried it, and it works. So there you have it, a little tip from Hitch. He was so nice to me. I wasn't intimidated at all by him. He sort of, I think, treated me like I was his daughter. I could ask questions about anything. I asked him about the jungle gym. When there were fake birds on there were pieces of just cardboard. There were real birds on the jungle gym. And I said, but aren't people going to notice that there's all those fake birds? He says, your eye sees movement and you assume everything is alive. And to this day, I can't pick out which is the fake bird. You think you've got it, and then it moves. And it's just so brilliant. Then when we're leaving at the end, there was no door. And I said to him, well, there's no door. He says, well, dear, if there was a door, I wouldn't be able to see you. Let's show her, Rod. And Rod Taylor leans down. He mimes opening the door, and then there's this thick panel that sort of went across our faces. And then all of a sudden there's light. And you just assume that there's a door there. Nobody misses the fact that there isn't a door. It's just brilliant. And he says, and that is the magic of movies. He was just so kind to me. They threw me a 13th birthday party. Of course, it was after the scene when we had 15,000 birds up in the chimney. We were all in a gigantic plastic bubble. And the camera was down at the end, and then they had shafts, and they would let these birds come out. Well, the birds were coming out and going up in the air, and of course, once they realized they couldn't go anywhere, they just drop like lead birds. But they kept coming and coming, and then this is where I learned that you just live in the situation. I mean, poor Jessica Tandy, she trod on a bird, and that was it for her. She was a basket case, and I just would watch her, and then I became a basket case. It was incredible. So we shot, and then they would shoot it again, and then the guys would come with big poop scoopers and push them all back into the things and stick them back in the crates and let them come at us again. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. So that day is the day they decided to throw me my 13th birthday party. And I went to another sound stage. They took me over to another stage, and everybody was there, the cast, the crew. They gave me a sweater. Tippy gave me a set of lovebirds. And Alfred Hitchcock, he turned to his Peggy Robinson, who was his assistant, who handed him a piece of white cardboard and a black crayon. And he wrote, to the woman I love, Veronica, drew his face and signed it. And I have that on archival paper in my office. And I would have tea with him every afternoon when we were on the set in Universal. Peggy would come with her teapot and her china cups of tea and some biscuits, because every afternoon at 4:30 you had to stop for biscuits and tea. Everybody. I shot in Europe, and when we shot in Europe, ding, 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 ding. The trolley would come by, the big things. Everybody would get their cup of tea and a pastry. And it's just cultural. He always wore three-piece suits. He couldn't have been nicer to me. And he would tell bad jokes, terrible jokes, I guess. I'd go home and repeat them, and my aunt would go, "Oh my gosh, where did you hear that?" And I'd say, "Oh, Alfred Hitchcock was talking about it today." I mean, it was like I was just part of the group. He was fantastic to me. So I know Tippy had some hard times, but I didn't see any of it because I was 12. Yeah. Oh gosh, I love that movie. Well, you just don't get characters that get to go ballistic like that. Because she was actually the fourth witch. She was the one who knew he was the devil, and all I was trying to do was explain to them that he was the devil. Of course, the devil was going to have me appear like I was a nut job, and it starts like in the first falling down the stairs, breaking that pearl necklace, and then flying down there and breaking my leg. And then I tried to tell Michelle Pfeiffer's character that she's pregnant, but no, my husband's shoving stuff down my throat. Richard Jenkins is the most divine person to work with. And I had such a great time on that movie. I did not realize I had done a movie with Jack Nicholson before called Going South. And Jack was the one apparently who said to George Miller, "I'd like you to see her," because in the book she's much older and seems to be much more religious. And I was actually the editor's wife in the movie. And they flew me into Boston. And I went to Boston, and I had 2 scenes to do. One was the snowy egrets, where would they nest? And the other one was the ending, where I'm throwing up. So I said, "Well, how far would you like me to go?" And he says, "Oh, we'd like to see it." I thought, "Oh, okay, here we go." So I just got into it, and I started doing my thing. And I think that's what got me the part. They couldn't believe that I was just willing to just put it all out there. And God, when I got to do that scene, that was like 5 days shooting that scene, and the cherries, and putting the cherries on me, and oh my God, it was gross. But it was so much fun. Just don't get those parts where you get to growl and be an animal and just be nuts.
I was going to ask you, one of my favorite movies was Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to see, just any stories from working on that.
Well, this is interesting. I just came back from a festival in the Canary Islands where I got an award, which was, it's the most fabulous award. It looks like something out of Hamlet. It's a skull. It's just so great. And they showed Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and Randall Kleiser was there, and they showed Flight of the Navigator and the documentary After the Navigator. And I hadn't seen it in so long, and so it's a wonderful movie. It's just so sweet, and a lot of people like your age, and they come up to me and had seen it when they were like 12 years old, and it was like their favorite movie. And it was Jessica Harper's, not Jessica Harper, Sarah Jessica Harper. Yeah. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
It was her first movie, and it was a great experience. It was wonderful. We shot in Fort Lauderdale, and it was just fun. And Randall is a sweetheart, and he also did Grease. And I'd never seen Grease before, so I had to sit through Grease. Well, okay. What a weird movie. I mean, those were teenagers. I mean, they were all like 30 years old. I mean, it's ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. Especially the guy who's from the opposite thing, who has the car with the flames down, and he's got to be 40 years old. It was hysterical. I couldn't believe it. But I must say, John Travolta was really, he could dance and sing, and of course Olivia Newton-John was just darling. So, but I had never seen it. I thought I had, but when I was watching it, I thought, I've never seen this movie before. It's a weird movie. Anyway, I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there. It was packed, I mean, the night that we went to see it, so, oh, this boy's asleep.
We got any more questions out there? We got time for one or two more. We're good. That right there. Good.
Hi. Oh, boy. Well, each movie has different things. I went over to England because I hadn't worked in a long time. I studied with Jack Garfine. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and I was in the, Leave It to Beaver and all of these different shows. I was the Kellogg's Girl, and I decided I wanted to study to make sure that I knew what it was I was doing, so I studied with Jack Garfine, who was part of the original group theater. And then after 3 years of doing that, I decided to do some improvisational theater. So I went over and worked with Viola Spolin, who was, the main person for improvisational theater. So, because I was doing technique and, and sort of, what do they call it? Where Stanislavski is basically what it was. So I thought, well, I should try something opposite. And I wasn't working, and so I decided I was going to go over to England because I was born there and I had a British passport, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I auditioned for Rocky Horror Show. I was offered Old Calcutta. But while I was over there, I went on an interview for this movie called Inserts with Richard Dreyfuss. And it was Bob Hoskins' first movie. And I don't know, I wanted this part so bad. It was a porno queen junkie. Every time I read the script, I ended up talking like this. There was nothing I could do about it. And I said, I can do this in a normal voice. But every time I end up talking like this. She was from Winnick, Illinois, so she, So they had me come in and read with Richard Dreyfuss, and I did. We rehearsed for 3 weeks. We shot it like a play, and it was shot in 14 days. It was one of the best experiences I have ever had. It was wonderful. And I came back to the States. I went back to waiting tables, because that's what I was doing, to for my acting classes and make a living. And I got a call to go on an interview for Jack Nicholson for Going South. And so as I meet Jack goes, we'd all heard these stories about Jack. And he comes out and he goes, "Hi, I'm Jack Nicholson." And I go, "Oh, yeah, hi." So he says, "Please come into my office." And I go down the hallway, which was at Paramount Studios. They're very narrow hallways. And as I'm walking down the hallway, he goes, "I loved you in Inserts." At which point I blushed. And he goes, "Oh, I love a woman who blushes." I thought, oh, my God. I thought, what am I in for? Anyway, I ended up having my picture put on the wall, and he said, "You remember my gang?" And the gang consisted of his Cuckoo's Nest people. It was Danny DeVito, it was Chris Lloyd, and it was John Belushi's first movie. And if you haven't seen it, it's just a wild, fun movie that we shot in Durango, Mexico. And that started things all over again. After that, I got Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was a wonderful experience. And Donald Sutherland, God bless him, he's just so wacky. I mean, he was just a delight. And he decided that his character needed to have curly hair. And so, but he didn't want a perm. So they set his hair twice a day in pink permanent rods. So all of our rehearsals were with this 6'3" man with pink permanent rods in his hair, and you try to be serious, and oh my God, it was hysterical. By the last couple of weeks of the show, he says, "Oh, go ahead," because we were shooting in San Francisco. It was damp. It was in November. And so he finally permed his hair, but he was just so crazy. He was just a delight to work with. As Jeff Goldblum played my husband, and it's so hard to pick out what was the most challenging. I mean, Witches of Eastwick was such an amazing movie that I could just go out there anywhere, and that experience that just doesn't happen very often, and so it was just the best. I loved it. Let's see. I've done some. Oh God, I did some really challenging stuff when I was younger. None of you have probably seen it because it was a Xerox special. I was 15, and it was about refugee boats. And I was growing up on a boat and I was a refugee going back from port to port. And there was no place that we could settle. And it was Theodore Bickel and Edward, oh my God, I'm blanking here. All these old-time actors. There was Maria Schell played my mother. Leah Scholar was the nun. Jeff, oh God, why am I blanking on their names? This is terrible. I'm having brain fart. Sorry. But anyway, this movie was super challenging because I had to take a shower on this boat that was 3 miles out in the ocean, and I was 15. And the whole point was that my character was getting of an age where men started looking at her in a different light. And so I was Baker. Jeff Baker? No, I'll think of it in a second. He comes aboard and he talks my mother into having me go off to a nunnery or having these nuns take me off the boat. Edith Head was my wardrobe person. So, of course, I was supposed to be this free spirit. So she gave me little pasties. God, at 15, I can't even believe that I did this movie. I have this gown that they gave me, and I'm walking down the steps of this ship that is 3 miles out, and I slipped and flew down this staircase. It wasn't overly pleasant, and they realized that the director, George Sidney, had been a doctor, and so they took me and put me into a boat and sent me back so I could see a doctor on the shore. Well, I must say, when we had to reshoot that scene a couple of weeks later, I got in that shower and those pasties dropped off, but I thought, oh, well, what the hell? Everybody's seen everything already anyway. Which, in a sense, gave me the freedom to do the movie inserts, which we had talked about earlier. And, I mean, it's just... but that was really a challenge at 15 years old to be doing something like that, and I was really proud of the work. I won an Emmy for a show called Tell Me Not in Mournful Numbers, which was a real life person. She was a woman who a girl that based her entire life on a set of bubblegum cards of the Three Stooges. And she would take the pictures on the front and she correlated to the number on the back of the card. And she would only speak in numbers. So the nurses and the doctors had to figure out what her system was in order to be able to break down her system. That was challenging because we had to shoot it in 2 days. And we shot it because it was live, and we shot it at news. The news had to come on at a certain time, so we had to shoot all the day, and then we had to be out of there so the 6 o'clock news could come in. Those things were very challenging. She was this girl. I mean, she was a real life person. She's in the movie for a flash, but that was a very, very difficult, challenging thing to do, and it was great that I got to win an Emmy for it, which I got the flu. My sister picked up the Emmy. Oh, well. Anything else? Yes? Oh, yes, it was just wonderful. Ted Danson is just a dream. He's just so darling, and it was such a fun thing. I had actually gone in. I have not been on a live audition since COVID. This is what's so horrible now about this business. They classify Zooms as being in person, or you go on tape for everything that you audition for. And so I had gone in and I auditioned for the part that Mary Akers got, who is the black lady in it. And obviously I didn't get it. But then we get this call, and they had me doing it in all different ways. And so I get this call, and they said, we would really like you to be a part of this. And I said, okay. So they sent over a script, and there were 2 lines. I said, there's only 2 lines. Oh, don't worry about that. You're going to be our comic relief. I said, okay, I'm in. And I had such a great time on that show. I mean, Sally Struthers and everybody, it was just a hoot and a half. It was really great. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. The first season was last year, and I guess they've just come out with the second season. And Mary Steenburgen is in the second season, and she was in Going South. It was her first movie. So it was great.
Veronica, thank you so much.
Oh, is that it?
Oh my gosh, we could sit here for hours, I think. If you guys have any more questions, go visit her at her table. Give it up for Veronica, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.